Burrows, DTM. She is going to be speaking on the other piece of paper that I did not bring up with me today.
Do you have it? Here.
Who she's mercifully brought her introduction. She'll be presenting her speech from Leadership Excellence Series, and it will be a motivational speech. Let's see. I believe this is time for me to introduce Marianne Burrows, DTM. She has been a Toastmaster for about 6 years. She joined Toastmasters to improve on her speaking skills and to learn to speak off the cuff, extemporaneously. It has not always been easy for Marianne. You wouldn't know it to see her speak. Kind of added that. But Marianne finds the rewards to be worth the effort. She continues to learn and grow as she challenges herself to move up the ranks in Toastmasters. She will be presenting her speech from the Leadership Excellence Series. This is a Toastmasters international program that addresses leadership topics. Her speech today will discuss what motivates people. And let us discover the secrets to motivating people. The time for the speech will be 10 to 15 minutes. And please help me welcome Marianne Burrows. If you were kind enough to even put the please let me introduce. Oh, yeah.
Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Thanks. Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. Motivate. What does that mean? It means to bring to action. When I was sitting in the back of my chair and my name was called, I had to motivate myself to get up out of my chair, move my legs to get up in front, right? And in our own personal ways, we have to motivate ourselves. Oftentimes at the beginning of the year, we make goals for the year, right? Just because I have a goal for the year doesn't mean I will accomplish it. I not only have to make a goal, then I have to follow through, take the steps to get to the other side and accomplish that goal. Say I want to plant the garden. Tom talked about gardening, we certainly do. When you want to plant the garden, if you decide you want to have a garden, that's a great idea, but you've got to do something to get to the point where you actually have a garden. You have to get your tools, you have to get your plants, you have to prepare the garden or the ground, then you have to plant the seeds in order to have a garden in the end of the year. So motivation is moving forward. Now there's another form of motivation, and that's the kind of motivation when you're a leader. Then you have to motivate your team. Larry was the leader of our open house last week. He had to make a criteria of what needed to be accomplished. He then sent that criteria out to the club, and different people filled the roles that were needed to have that accomplished. And as Anand was saying earlier, he wasn't sure how this was all going to turn out. Is everybody going to follow through? They said they were going to help Larry. Okay? And so the leader needs to create an environment where his team understands what the mission is, what the goal is. He has to show that picture. And then see if they are willing to come and support him to help him to accomplish that goal. Because Larry could not have done all those roles by himself. It would have been impossible, right? He needed all those people on that team to support him. He also needed to encourage them, make sure people were going to do what they said they were going to do, right? He could have said, okay, I've got everybody lined up, and then gone out to eat or whatever. And then come back and found out that half the people didn't accomplish what they said they were going to do. And then, as Anand said, it would not have worked the way we wished it would have worked. But he followed through and it did. So what are the ways we want to motivate people? I'm not sure how this is going to flip over because I didn't practice this particular. So here's some of the basic principles. People prefer rewards over punishment. I think everybody in this room would agree you'd rather have rewards than punishment, right? So you want to make sure you're encouraging to your team because you want them to follow through on what you've set out to do. Misused rewards demotivate people. You know, if you, let's say you have 10 people on your team, and one of them did a phone call, and that was their only job, and another person worked for 3 weeks to accomplish what needed to be done. You wouldn't just give all of the people the same reward. You might pat the fellow on the back that did the phone call, but you might award the person that spent 3 weeks doing that huge amount of work with something much more rewarding. People like to do meaningful work. You know, if I ask somebody to dig a hole, and then the next day I said, fill that hole, and then the next day I said, dig a hole, and then the next day I said, fill the hole, after a while, they'd probably lose their enthusiasm for that project. Now, if I asked them to dig the hole, and then there was a pipe that needed to be fixed under the ground, and the pipe got fixed and then they filled the hole, there would be a reason or a meaning for the activity that was taking place. So you want to make sure that people are doing something that's meaningful and not only helps the team and the progression of the goal, but something they feel worthy of doing. People must believe in you. If you're a leader and you come into a meeting and you go, well, I'm not really sure what we're going to accomplish here, and I don't know. If people aren't, your team is just not going to be very excited about following your lead. Now, this is a tricky situation, especially for people in Toastmasters that are just becoming leaders and working on our skills in leadership. We're not always going to have that very strong, confident stance. But at least fake it till you make it, I think, is probably a good suggestion at this point. And if you don't know how to do things, say, for instance, with Larry, maybe he's never run a group like this. He might want to call somebody and say, hey, show me how I run the open house so that I will have an awareness how that works. And then people want you to act like a leader. They want to have confidence in you as a leader so that when they have difficulties, that they can come to you and get the answers that they need in order to do what they need to do as a team member. So what are the things that motivate people? Anybody?
Money.
Money, yay! The right one, the right answer, the first one. Anything else? Recognition. Of course, yes.
Appealing to their pride.
Okay, appealing to their pride. Very good. Well, you guys picked a very good job of picking the top number. So money was number one. Praise, public recognition. Of course, some people are motivated by different things. So you have to, and obviously in a Toastmaster group, it's a lower level of accomplishment per se. But if you were in a position where you were a boss, and you really want to find out what motivates your team, because for some people it is money. In fact, a lot of people it is money, and I'm sure that's why it's number one. But some people really love public recognition more than money. So if you know somebody in your team loves public recognition, you want to make sure if they've done a great job, that's the type of recognition that they get, because that's what's going to motivate them forward. Of course, another thing is to be promoted. If you've done an excellent job on some type of a project, that person likes to be recognized by being promoted. Probably get a little more money too. And then more responsibility. If I've done a good job, then I'm going to move up and have more responsibility. Much like in Toastmasters, when we begin, we usually start as being a timer or a greeter. Once we've fulfilled that, we do well with that, then we move into a little bit more detailed project or role. And as we begin to accomplish those, eventually become a Toastmaster. So we keep moving up the ladder of success by doing the jobs that we have accepted as our responsibility. So what are some of the other things we want to do in regard to really our motivation for our team? We want to recognize them immediately. Let's say, for instance, Megan gives her speech next week. Maybe not quite next week, but she gives her speech. You don't want to wait for 3 or 4 weeks before you acknowledge her first speech. You want to go up to her and tell her all the great things she did in her speech so that she'll feel good about herself and she'll be inspired to begin to work on her next speech. Right? Then we want to be specific. Be very clear, just like when we do evaluations on our speeches. What did the person do good? What do they need to work on? What ways can you, as a leader or a mentor, assist them in moving forward? Then match rewards to achievements. Again, you want to make sure that the reward is equal to whatever achievement it is. We spoke about that just a little before. Reward only the desired behavior. You want to make sure that you acknowledge the thing that the team members do that it's good. Again, we love to be rewarded. We love to be acknowledged when we do something. Because I think in our society, in our world, we're not acknowledged very frequently for what we do good. And I think that's one of the beauties of being in Toastmasters. We get clapped at for just about everything. And this says punish undesirable behavior. Personally, I do not care for that language. And I think a better way to put it would be to sit down and explain to the person what needs to be done so that they will be able to fulfill the requirements for that role. Punishment, I think, is a little harsh. Eliminate demotivators, things that aren't working with your team. Let go of those and start to put into place things that you know will help motivate your team. I was thinking of the Apollo 13, when that leader was faced with the challenges that took place. He wasn't planning on those types of things occurring in this particular difficulty, but he decided, we're going to get this team through to the end, no matter what it takes. And because there was a commitment of a leader, he was very strong. He knew exactly what he wanted to accomplish. He got all the team members together, and they decided they were going to accomplish this no matter what. And the end result was a successful mission. And follow through. It's very important that you follow through. Again, if Larry would have just sent out an email with all the list of roles that were available and never checked in with people to say, well, did you really order that pizza? Are you going to bring the food you said you were going to? Do we really have a speaker? And follow through with either phone calls or emails to make sure people are in the place they said they were going to be and get the specific item done that needs to be followed through. Another thing that's not on this list, but it's very important, is to hook up people that can provide the service that you need to accomplish certain roles. For instance, Stacy is excellent at doing the programs. Well, if Larry would have said, Mary Ann, would you do the programs? I might do the best I could, but I assure you, I don't have the knowledge of how to do that, or the follow-through, or the printing capabilities, so I probably would not be the best person to do that. Unless I was somebody who wanted to learn how to do that particular role. And then I might get with Stacy and follow through and learn how to do it. So these are some of the tools that can be very helpful for you as a leader. Teach your team or to direct your team and help motivate them so that you can accomplish the end result that you set out to do.